And then if I move over into the projects of our team, we have a project called First Year Seminar Board Game Design. And then you should have a link to this fall 2024 file. So I'm going to zoom in here. And all this is, it looks a little overwhelming because there's a lot in here, but it's meant to be done together as a class. And so there are some pages here for everybody to work on at the same time. What this is sample text for this game called Power Pets. And there's a little description of what the game is here, and then it defines some key terms. So you see it has definitions of cost, category, class types, just some fake rules for this fake game called Power Pets. And the goal here is to use some of those things that were described in the presentation on graphic design to practice organizing this information so that it's easier to digest. So here is the general kind of premise of how to work through this. So this exercise is structured in rounds. Depending on how much time you have, you may get through a couple, you may get through all of them, but you should only work on one round at a time and then stop and kind of compare to your classmates around you and see all the different ways that people have used whatever tool is in the round to organize the information that's on the page. So I'm going to zoom back in. And you'll see there's a bunch of templates here. They all look exactly the same as the first one. But what you'll want to do is grab yourself one and claim it. Oops. By selecting the your name text and just changing this to your name. I'll grab my selection tool and click off. And then I'm going to work with this text here and just using the tool of space, try to organize this information a little bit better. So I'll do just a couple of rounds of these so you can see kind of the general idea. And then you can practice with the rest on your own, and I will introduce one final challenge if you want to take it on. So here I'm thinking about the space between this content. The first thing to do is to identify the different types of content. So here it looks like we have a title, and then we have a description of the game. And then we have this section called key terms and the terms down below it. So one thing we could do with space is just to throw a space between each one of those sections. So I might separate the title. Let me hide this stuff here so we can see a little bit better. I might separate the title from the description from the key terms. And you can already see how this information on the left is a little easier to digest than this big block of text on the right. We could go even further with that. Maybe we put a few more spaces between the description and the key terms. And then we can enter spaces between the title of the section and then the categories down below it, or the terms down below it. If we have enough space to differentiate it, we could even add full line breaks between each term. So again, to get out of here, I'm going to grab my selection tool and click outside the text box. And then I'm going to zoom back out. So isn't this much easier to look at than the big block of text over here? Okay, let's try another tool. So I'm going to move down to round 2. Again, you don't have to use the scroll wheel or the right click like I am. You can grab the hand tool to pan around and then use Command or Control plus to zoom in and out. And then this round, we're going to work with space and weight. So again, here, I'll grab my selection tool, select the text, double click on that, type my name in. And then I'm going to start working with space and weight. So again, I'm going to break out the title here I like how I broke out the key terms. The first one, I thought the second one maybe got a little too spread out, so I'm going to leave it like this. And then I'm going to introduce weight to these to try and give it a little more structure. So the title of the game seems pretty important. So I'm going to highlight that, come over here to where it says regular. I'm going to switch that to black because I think that's the most important text. And then key terms, because this is a new section, seems important, but not quite as important as the title. So maybe I just make this bold. And then maybe I want to bold the definitions or the names of the key terms and leave the definitions the regular weight. I zoom back out. Again, you can see how this starts to get much more digestible. So you are going to take some time to go through those and just practice with the different tools that we discussed and see kind of all the different ways that folks come up with to organize information. So next we have space, weight, and then you're adding in size, so changing the size of the text. And then you'll have color to add into that. And then if you really want to challenge, you have a totally different set of information to organize. So here I have a fake card for this game called Power Pets. And this is a card for Madison, which is a character in the game. And then the goal here is to use all the tools at your disposal to make this card both organized, but also visually interesting. Okay. If you make something that you really like, the last thing I want to show you is how to get that thing out of Figma so that you can print it or put it in a slideshow or wherever it is you need it. So let's say we really like the card that we made. If I select that card, and you have to make sure that everything is inside that frame, or you can click and drag to select multiple things. Over here in the Properties panel at the very bottom, there's this option that says Export. If I click plus on that, you'll get more options for this. The first thing here is the size that you want to export it at, and the second is the file type. So let's just say we want a JPEG of this, and then let's just say that we want to export this as the size that it already is, which is defined up here. You can click Export, and then you'll see it downloaded, a JPEG of that thing. Okay, so I hope that gets you started in a new tool that you can use for free to do graphic design. And I hope it also introduces a few of the different principles for how to organize information so that your game is both more appealing and easier to play. Again, if you're interested in learning more about graphic design, we would love to see you over in the art program. Feel free to reach out to me. My email is in that slide deck. But I would also just love to see the things that you're making. So I hope to hear from you and see your games in the future.